Hello again, my name is Ella, and in case you haven't noticed, it's 2026 now. It is insane that a decade ago it was 2016. You know how old I was? 10. I was 10 in 2016, I think. 2026, I'm 20 now, minus 10. Yeah, I was 10. I think by that time, I was still, making Musical.lys. I don't know if Musical.ly was... I don't remember when Musical.ly, RIP, died, but it must have been, around that time, maybe, despite the insane idea that we're already in the new year. I would argue that this is the best time for people that watch knitting podcasts because this is when people start to release their everything I made in this year videos. These are probably I think they're one of everybody's favorite videos to watch, but I am so excited that I actually get to film my own. So without further ado, this is everything I made in 2025. I'm going to try to go in relatively chronological order. I have this little My Year in Yarn book that I got for my birthday actually last year. Thanks, boyfriend. And I was able to record I was going to say a good chunk, but let's be real. There's 5 projects in here, which I've knit more than 5 projects in 2025. So we will see about that. I feel like everybody starts off their what I made in the year videos by saying don't compare yourself to me because I knit a lot and maybe you don't knit as fast or everybody has their own circumstances. I don't think you have to worry about that for me because I really did not knit that much. I would also hope that now after the however many years people have been posting their knitting podcasts on YouTube and filming end of year videos that we know by now that knit at your own pace, girl, person, guy, do whatever you gotta do. Starting off with our first pattern of the year, the Olga jacket by PetiteKnit. Yes, I knit the Olga jacket, okay? Okay, what I was trying to say was that I did knit the Olga jacket, which I feel like the Olga jacket was very much the sailor slippers of the early year or something. I don't know. Everybody was knitting the Olga jacket, so I was hopping on that. I think I'm gonna slide over because I have my mic connected to a thingy that's connected to my phone, and it does not go that far. So I'm gonna move over so you can have a runway box of me showcasing the patterns next to me. Okay, the Olga jacket by PetiteKnit. Honestly, I'm just going to read everything that I had put on here. For the patterns that are not in this book, I'm just going to wing it, okay? So but you know what? We will cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, I made the extra small, and I used Juniper Moon Farm Patagonia in the colors. Cardinal is the red, and then Ivory is the whitish color. This is DK weight, 100% merino wool, which I believe is what the pattern calls for, I think. I gave this project a 5 out of 5 on the yarn heart scale. Honestly, I don't know if that's accurate anymore. I do remember enjoying knitting this sweater. The only thing that I think was really hard was that by this point I hadn't figured out how to actually tension my yarn. So usually now what I do, I'm a continental knitter, so I'll wrap it around my pinky and then I'll just have it on my pointer finger regular. But when I had knit because I think you start with some short rows. Oh yeah, I did the short rows, which I'm pretty sure there's short rows in here. But I did the short rows because you start by making that trapezoid with the top, upper, back again. And I remember having such an issue because I knit a huge chunk of the body and then I knit the sleeves, and the sleeves were worked in the round, whereas the body was worked flat. And my tension for the sleeves was like so much nicer than for the body, and this just like, it pissed me off. So I just ended up, I think, reknitting the body, which probably is why it took quite a big chunk of time. I would still argue that the body is not as nicely knit maybe as the sleeves. That's probably really just because the tension doesn't match as much as I would like it to, but it's not noticeable, especially after you block it, and it would really only be something that I would notice. But the other thing that it wasn't my favorite about this pattern, or actually it wasn't really about the pattern, it was about the yarn that I picked, is that this yarn is very, it's more drapey than you would imagine as a wool yarn. Like, I don't find this to be as stiff as I pictured it to be, because especially with like a cardigan, or she calls it a jacket, so with this jacket, I pictured more structure a little bit and more of like a denser fabric, whereas I feel like this one is like really thin. I don't know if that's just like the nature with working DK weight yarn on 4mm needles. That could just be it. But I think if I were to make this again, I'd pick a yarn that has more structure to it, or is a little bit like denser spun. I also feel very candy cane when I wear this. so I rated this project as an easy, which I still think that it is. It wasn't hard. It was, from my knowledge, I feel like it was annoying maybe changing the colors, but at least from just knitting I don't know how well you can see it, but I just twisted the yarn and carried it down technically. But I like my favorite things about this pattern and like the structure of it are like the boxy fit. It's so cute. I love a boxy cardigan. And then how the ribbing is also the stripes. That's so genius. The bottom also has that finished like striped ribbing, which is, it's so good. It's so good. But overall, first pattern of the year, I did really enjoy it. I think the only thing that maybe would knock one yarn heart off of is my yarn choice. I kind of just feel like I could have picked better. For the second sweater of 2025, I knit the Leek sweater by Årsand. For this sweater, I used Drops Nepal. It's a worsted weight yarn. 65% wool, 35% alpaca. Light gray mix is the color that I used. And then I guess the pattern is a one size pattern, but it's free. Hopefully that makes up for it. I think I'm going to pull a Lou Dang and put all of these on at once. I think I ended up knitting this pattern probably like purely because it was free. And I like it because I like the detail of the like long 2x2 ribbing at the bottom and on the sleeves. I think it's kind of fun. It's, at least in my head at this time, this pattern was really like unique to all the other sweaters that I was seeing, so that probably is what drew me to it mostly. I do remember there being two things that I was not really a fan of in this pattern, and one of them was that especially because I was still like making sweaters, I was very new to making sweaters still, so at the time, I had so much confusion when it came to the raglan increases. Like, in my opinion, the pattern wasn't super, like, explanatory, maybe, for beginners. What I ended up doing was going to Florence Miller's step-by-step sweater and kind of, like, using the guideline for her, like, raglan increases pattern part, and then just incorporating it here, but like with this sweater's stitch counts and everything. So that was a little bit tough for me. The other thing was that this sweater does not have any short row shaping, which, because I've knit this sweater, I understand German short rows now. Because this sweater doesn't have any extra length on the top of the back, it does kind of like bunch up or like hike up a little bit in the back, so it appears that the front of the sweater like looks like it's longer than the other side, which in reality it's just because there were no short rows. I still really loved this sweater, and I remember it working up super fast. I think maybe if I were to make this pattern again, I would love to use my knowledge now of knitting to add some sort of short row factor to it, or look it up, because I also maybe don't know if I know how to do that yet. I don't think I've unlocked that level of knitter yet where I can just like modify stuff, because I don't know how to do that, because like knitting still doesn't really make sense in my head, but like crocheting, I can just whip up a plushie out of nowhere. Like I can just make one. But I have to follow a pattern for knitting because I just don't get it. The other thing about this sweater, Drops Nepal, I like it. It's warm, it's soft. It's kind of itchy for me. I don't have any issues in the sweater other than just the neck area. That's where I struggle with the most. So if I do knit this sweater again, maybe some different yarn. The next pattern, it looks like I made from like May to July, but I don't know how accurate that is the Ingrid Slipover by PetiteKnit. There's actually kind of a funny, like cutesy story to this slipover. So I went to, during the Puget Sound local yarn store tour, I ended up going to this one shop in Seattle, and there was this girl that had made one of these, and I was like, whoa. I was like, I hate to admit this, but I was like enamored. Not only was like she gorgeous, and I was like, oh my god, so pretty, but she was wearing it and she was like sporting it so well, and I was like, I kind of feel like I have to make that. So I didn't plan on making it at all. I didn't even know what it was or who it was by, but I bought the yarn for it while I was in there, and I just asked her. I was like, what yarn did you use? And then she told me, and it was Woolstok worsted by Blue Sky Fibers? Blue Sky Fibers, yes, that's correct. It is 100% fine Highland wool, and my color that I picked was in October Sky. While I'm still on the topic of the yarn, oh boy, I'm getting really sweaty. While I'm still on the topic of the yarn, I'll just say this yarn is peak. This yarn is so good. It has, in my opinion at least, it has like the perfect amount of structure. I thought the stitch definition looks pretty good. It's not, I don't find it itchy at all. I've also already worn this a couple times. Like I wore it to, I think maybe it was like one of the days of the Flock Fiber Festival, and I haven't found that it's pilled yet. I don't know if maybe I just haven't worn it enough, or I haven't like frictioned enough, but I think it's fine. Another cool thing about this yarn was that I think they sell this type of yarn in like 2 different sizes of hanks. So the one that I ended up getting, I think was just 3. It was either 2 or 3 of the big ones. I don't know if y'all have ever seen those. They're huge. The huge ones have 150 grams in them, which is equivalent to 370 yards. So kind of cool. As for the actual pattern itself, I would still rate this 5 yarn hearts out of 5 yarn hearts because I learned a lot of like new fun stitches. Like I don't think I had done seed stitch before. I had never like used the like, I don't know what this is called. Are these the little X's? They come from like making as if you're gonna make. Is it like as if you're gonna make cables? It's something about like you don't even use a cable needle. You just move the stitches. Like if you've got 2 stitches here, you just move them back here and then knit the ones that were here and then knit the ones that are here now. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's really cool. It ended up being I knit the extra small, but it ended up being larger than I wanted it to. I think that the Ingrid Slipover pattern by nature is kind of a larger pattern. Or like an oversized fit, but I guess I expected it to be a little bit smaller. If I made it again, I don't know how I would change that. Maybe use smaller yarn, I'm not really sure. But I really liked this pattern. I want to make the full sweater version of it, but I don't know if this is just me, but it's frustrating that I'd have to like buy the sweater pattern. Like I already own the slipover, so I would assume that knitting this part of the body is exactly the same as the sweater, maybe, but then you just knit the sleeves. So I feel like maybe if there's a way that I can just like guess the sleeves then I'll do that. But I guess worst comes to worst, I'll just get the Ingrid sweater pattern. At least I know that, like, you know, I'm supporting PetiteKnit. But yeah, very good pattern. I like this one a lot. The next pattern I made, which I ended up falling in love with, is the Ranunculus by Midori Hirose, which I think, like I said before, everybody loves this pattern. For good reason, of course. This pattern I knit for my mom. It was supposed to be for Mother's Day. I ended up making it July 17th to August 14th. It was, like I said, it was supposed to be for Mother's Day. I used a 6mm hook, needles. I used 6mm needles, and I ended up knitting a size 5 for size 1's measurements, because I think because the gauge is like huge. It's like 14 stitches or 16 stitches or something, and I knit loose, but I don't knit that loose. So the gauge that I ended up with ended up being a lot smaller. I think mine was probably like 19 stitches or something with drop slima, which is DK. What I did to figure out like what pattern I should make to achieve the right measurements was actually through a video by the Wool Needles Hands YouTube channel. I think the lady's name is Taylor. She's so smart and cool, and she explains it like to a T, absolutely perfect for anybody to understand. So I will put that video down below with all the patterns that I mentioned in here. This sweater turned out beautiful. I love it. For drops Lima, it's relatively like, oh, I lied. It's actually entirely similar to drops Nepal, which is 65% wool, 35% alpaca. But for whatever reason, I find this to be less itchy than the Nepal, which like doesn't make sense. It definitely still has that like little bit of like prickliness to it, but it's like much less than this one. Or it also could just be that I have a high neck for this sweater and this one was more of a boat neck. So that could also be it. But as if people haven't already like hyped this pattern up enough, this pattern is so cool. It's so versatile. You can use like literally whatever yarn you want for it. It's really easy to calculate like which size you should be making to achieve which measurements you want. It works with so many different, I think I already said this, but yarns. I plan to make another one with that freaking cool Noro yarn that I got, so stay tuned for that. I know that I've already talked about this pattern before, so that's why I'm kind of trying to make it quick, but it's really cool. It was really, this went by so fast. I mean, I wrote down that I knitted it in a month, but I think I could beat that. I ended up giving this sweater to my mom on her birthday, because both of our birthdays are in December, and luckily she forgot about it. She forgot about the sweater, because I told her I was going to make her the sweater, and I had her pick the color, the yarn, all that stuff, but she forgot about it. So I like gave it to her on her birthday, and she was like, oh, a sweater? Is this the one you were making? And I was like, I'm not gonna shove this over my body just because it's hers and I don't want to mess it up. The next one, you guys have already seen this one before, so I won't talk a whole bunch about it, but it's the Blouse number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I don't want to stretch this one out, so we're just gonna wear it as a little scarf. This pattern, like I said, I've already talked about it a whole bunch and in depth. I think I used some sort of like, I was about to say expired, not expired. I used like what is the word? Not outdated, like yarn that is not available anymore. I think it was like some sort of Rowan, like old Rowan yarn, and that's what I used for this pattern. I do remember that it was in the shade Herdwick, which is funny because I think that's a good word, so I remembered that. Really quick overview, you can go ahead and watch this one, I think in my first podcast episode, but it's cool. It hugs your body all in the right places, kind of gives you a little bit of a bat wing, which was kind of a bummer, but I'm almost certain that somebody in the Ravelry like forum for this sweater was able to come up with a fix for that. So I think if you were interested in doing the split for the sleeves a little bit differently, you could. A little bit prickly, but not enough to piss me off too much, I don't think. Actually, one thing I did want to mention that I don't think I mentioned in my first podcast episode was that I did an Icelandic bind off for this. This was a cast on. And the bottom, which I can't even find it, but I'd never done an Icelandic bind off before, and it's kind of fun. And the only reason really why I did the Icelandic bind off was because I don't think the pattern like stated what kind of bind off you were supposed to use. I think it just said bind off, and there's a bajillion, so I ended up just looking in the people's projects under this page, and a lot of people use the Icelandic bind off, and it worked fine. Like, it has a decent, well, maybe it doesn't have as much stretch as you would like, but in this case, because it was already kind of like a form-fitting sweater, I think it's maybe fine. But yes, good sweater. I'll knit it again, maybe like out of cotton or something, or some sort of cotton blend. I also think I said that before, but the next one, you guys also just saw this in a video. It's the lace loop sweater by Other Loops. I knit this sweater using, I can't even remember, drops. No. Wool of the Andes, worsted, tweed. No. I don't know. I can't remember. I think it was in Merlot. That's like the brown color. And then the pink is like Sheepy's something. Like I've already said, like I said, I already talked a pretty good chunk about this sweater. So if you want to hear about that, you can go to I think it was my second podcast episode. I say that as if I've already posted a bajillion videos, but it's not that complicated. I guess I'll just restate that I really did enjoy this sweater. After I learned how to do the color switches, it was a lot smoother. It didn't take me all that long. I still really like it. I think this will be more so suitable for like the springtime, especially because it has the eyelets. I still have not blocked it and weaved in the ends, so I need to do that. A highlight of this pattern was the double knitted like ribbing part on the ends of the cuffs and the collar and the hem. Really like that. I'll probably be incorporating that in any ribbing pattern that I do from now on, just because it adds that nice like structure and it looks good with the Italian bind off as well. But yes, very good sweater. I feel like I keep saying that after every sweater, but they're all good. Okay, I have two more sweaters to show you, which honestly I can't. Actually, here, let me slide a little bit. Actually, I can't remember if I even knit these in 2025 or if I knit them in 2024. But I kind of figured I would just include them anyways because they were like early works. These actually might be my first two sweaters, which is kind of cool. So might as well just put them out there. So I have this sweater. I cannot remember what it's called. And I don't even know where I have it written down. But I will put it on the screen so you're able to actually see what it is. The yarn that I used for this one was Paint Box. I do remember that. It was 100% acrylic. Chunky weight, I think? I believe so. Okay, I guess I'll put this on. Oh boy. Oh. Okay, actually, now that I think about it, I think this was 2024 because I remember working on this sweater when I was still in high school, I think. And low-key, honestly, it's still kind of fire. I wanted a rainbow sweater really bad, but at the time I didn't have like really scraps to like make a scrappy rainbow sweater, so I just bought rainbow colored yarn and then used that instead. I haven't worn this sweater a whole bunch since I've gotten more acquainted with knitting, I guess, and moved on to some other fibers. But honestly though, like, I still wouldn't mind working with an acrylic blend. Maybe not 100% acrylic just because of like the nature of it, but a blend I really wouldn't mind because like my skin's got no, this looks so bad. My skin has no issues with this, so it's nice. Because this sweater was so long ago, I don't really remember the process all that much. I know that it was knit flat and like pieced together, like you seam, or you pick up stitches for drop shoulder, that's what it's called. You pick up stitches for the thing once you're done knitting like the two boxes and seaming those together, or like the two panels. I think I found the pattern for this sweater on Etsy. I didn't even know what Ravelry was at the time, so this is like back in the day when I didn't know what Ravelry was. But Etsy was chilling. We're good. The last sweater I'm gonna show you is honestly kind of terrifying. I've never worn it, which when I put it on, you're gonna be able to see why. Oh my god. Okay. I don't even remember what this sweater is called. It's from, this yarn is We Are Knitters wool. It's like the huge chunky wool. Dude, I feel like a stick figure. I like can't really move. This sweater, this is crazy. This is a crazy story. So this I think was the first sweater that I ever knit, but this yarn, I found at the thrift store. I found enough sweater quantity at the thrift store, and it was We Are Knitters, which, sorry about that. If you're familiar with We Are Knitters, I don't think they're definitely not on the cost-effective side. I honestly, I was just so hyped to have found a sweater quantity like out in the wild, and it was like $5 per bag of 2. So I spent like what, $35 on this sweater, which is insane. In retrospect, I'm actually glad I didn't spend that much on this sweater, because who would wear this? Honestly. This thing is so, well, the size has been amplified by the other numerous layers that I'm wearing underneath it, but also on this own, this sweater is huge and like thick and box. Like this thing is like bulletproof, like, I don't even think I remember really knitting this, to be honest. Like this sweater has kind of been blocked from my memories because I don't wear it. I forget about it. I never blocked it either. 'Cause like I fear that it would take years to dry. I also think that when I got this yarn, I was like, well, I can't really make like a blanket. Like I think I was just so eager to like finally knit a sweater instead of a bunch of like beanies and gloves and stuff, that when I found a sweater quantity that was affordable, I just jumped on it. I definitely would not knit this sweater again. Like, I don't think anything's wrong with the pattern. It was really straightforward and simple and told you how to do it. I knit it on flat needles too, which that's the only time I've ever done that. But it looked a lot better on the model in the photo than it does in real life. So that's also probably part of the reason why I never wear it. I don't think I'm ever gonna knit a sweater out of jumbo yarn again. I think maybe that's off the list. Okay, I'm gonna breeze through accessories here because I am really hot and really itchy. I know for a fact that I made a lot more accessories this year than I'm gonna show you. I really only have 3 to show you because I gave the rest away as gifts, or I just don't want to show you because it's embarrassing. First, I knit a pair of socks. I think these are just the vanilla sock pattern, and I did these on 9-inch circulars. Like I said, I will put them, I'll put the pattern and the designer up as well, because I feel like the oxygen to my brain is being cut off by these sweaters somehow. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I feel like it's happening. These socks are epic. I've worn them numerous times, and I think I've already washed them once too, because this yarn is superwash and nylon. I bought the yarn from one of my favorite yarn shops, and I was just like, I was so hyped to make these. They turned out really good. I feel like I maybe had an issue with the heel turn or like the gusset or something, but that was also just me knitting my first pair of socks, so that was kind of bound to happen. But if you haven't knit socks before and maybe it's seeming a little bit daunting, I would highly recommend any of the vanilla sock patterns by that one designer. I'm so sorry, I can't remember her name. But she has video tutorials, and I think she also has a written pattern. I could be wrong about that, but I think she does. And they're really nice because she shows you how to do them on multiple different sets of needles. So I think she has DPN circulars and circular, like magic loop. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. I probably will make more of these sock patterns purely just because they're awesome and they're really easy and fast. Okay, next, I've also already shown you this. This is the Sunday Funday scarf by Wendy Schulson. It's a free pattern. Jeez, that took numerous tries. It's a free pattern by Wendy Schulson. I already said that. I had quite a bit of modifications to this. My goal for this was to have a free pattern that was similar. Like, I could modify to kind of be like the Sophie scarf, but the Sophie scarf is very simple, or at least it looks really simple, and I wanted something that had a little more like to it. So I ended up picking this one. I don't even know if I remember what my modifications were. I'm like losing my memory actively as I'm filming this video. But I can't really remember what my modifications were. I know that like I ended up stopping on a round and then just repeating it over and over and over to like build up the middle part of it. And then I just would flip to the decreases, find the same amount of stitches that I already had, and then just started the decreases from there. I believe it was in my first podcast episode where I went into more detail about like what I did to get this scarf. But I've already said this before, I really, really like this pattern. I keep like grabbing it, but I want to make it in the like bigger scarf / shawl version that it was originally written as. I used Knitting for Olive merino cotton, which, by the way, that yarn is kind of a big slay. I really like it a lot. And then I paired it with tin silk mohair. I don't like tin silk mohair. It's very itchy for me. But it's still cute. I still really, really like it. I've gotten a lot of compliments on it. This scarf has made me really like scarves, so I want to make more. Okay. Last one I think I'll show you today. I'm sure I'll find more that I have, but I'm really tired and I'm really large right now. This is the Twist It pattern, beanie patterned by Kutava Kika, from her book Knits to Wear. This was the first time I'd ever done cables, and now I really like cables. However, I haven't used a cable needle yet, so I'm a little bit nervous for that. The yarn was Koigu Jasmine, I believe. I also have a little, I wrote that down on my first podcast episode, but I will also leave it in the description again. I don't think this yarn has like written colorways, but I will double check again. I don't know how Koigu does it, but I just remember that I got this at the, I'm actually losing my memory. What is it called? Flock! It's Flock! I wore this to... No, wait. Whoa. Okay, calm down. I got the yarn from the Flock Fiber Festival. Holy crap. That was like insane brain fart. Thank you very much for joining me today to listen to everything I made this year, or last year. I think this year I'm feeling more ambitious for knitting, and especially because I'm going into the year with sweater quantities like in my stash. I feel like I'm going to be more motivated to keep knitting and finish the projects that I have had on my mind for a little while. 2025 will go down in the Ella history books as a pretty cool year, especially because I started this YouTube channel. It was, very late into the year, but I still started in 2025. I really look forward to what is going to come as of 2026, and I want to a couple goals of mine are to like film. I want to try filming more shorts, just because those are kind of fun and they bring me back to my Musical.ly days. I think I also want to knit more like closet staples is kind of a goal of mine as well. Like, I think I showed you that cream just wool yarn that I have. I would love to make a cabled sweater or cardigan out of that. But just thank you. I hope everybody had an amazing holiday and a great New Year's. I did. I watched the 2 Avatar movies, like Avatar and then The Way of Water. And we stayed up till like probably 4 in the morning watching those to prepare for the new one coming out, because I had never seen the Avatar movies, because the first one came out when I was like tiny, so I couldn't really watch it. So if there are any other like Avatar enjoyers, then we will unite and get ready for the new movie, which actually I think is in theaters right now. I don't know, I'll have to check. Anyways, thank you very much. I hope everybody's 2026 so far has started off pretty well. I wish everybody fulfillment of their goals and their goals. I have no idea what I will film next or when it will be posted, especially because I start school on Tuesday. But nonetheless, thank you very much and have a great one.